Good morning, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us. It's a Friday morning, a very wet and windy and grey Friday in Glasgow. And it's the day before Celtic against Livingston. And Celtic looking to continue what's been an impressive turn of form. That's 5 wins on the bounce now. Went to Easter Road during the week and made it pretty comfortable, really. Outstanding first half performance, won the game for Celtic. And it's Livingston tomorrow at Parkhead. And Celtic have struggled, Alison, against Livingston in the past, but only on their home patch. It's a totally different story in Parkhead, where Livingston have never won. So do you think this is really a welcome game for Celtic tomorrow, given the circumstance and trying to continue this winning run?
Without wishing to be disrespectful to any other team, I do think so. I think Celtic should be too much for Livingston. I also think just now that what Celtic do have is a bit of momentum now. I think you're going into the game with confidence. I think the gap at the top's been narrowed to 2 points. You get the feeling that Celtic are the form team in the country at the minute, given the results of the last month or so. So I think it should be comfortable. I don't envisage it should be a professional, composed performance. And I think if you keep doing that, if you look after yourself, I think that by the turn of the year, I think Celtic could be in a very commanding position.
Yeah, the other results in the league midweek certainly helped Celtic. Rangers, Hearts and Dundee United, none of them won. So Celtic were able to gain ground with their victory at Easter Road. But I think the old saying is that you can only focus on yourself. And I think that's what Ange Postecoglou will be telling his team. Look, they keep doing their job, and it's up to the others to match them. So with Livingston at home tomorrow, where Livingston have never won and where Celtic are on a good run of form, yeah, I think that it should be I don't think it will be routine, but I think that Celtic will be feeling very, very confident on their home patch of beating Livingston, given what they've done to other teams in recent weeks, where they start pretty well and just control the game.
Yeah, I think if you just look at the bare stats, I think Celtic have scored more league goals than any other team. They've conceded. What you do now is simply keep it going, keep playing the same way, try and build up ahead of steam, really. And I think it's interesting because I think it's a very different proposition to be at the top of the league and have a cushion and a safety net of a considerable gap. When a gap is tight and one afternoon can flip things, I think it's a very, very different element of psychology going into games. And I think for Celtic last season, when Rangers were in top, they never really had that. Rangers never really felt Celtic's breath on their necks. They do, and I think that becomes a very different proposition to handle, especially when games are tense, nervous, tight. And I think you're right. I think it becomes a question simply of not getting too far ahead of yourself, but managing games, playing with a fluency. And you can see the culture that's trying to be created. You can see the philosophy that's been there from the very earliest of days. And I think it's starting to take root now.
Well, we try and predict what the lineup's going to be before every game here at the Celtic Way, and we very rarely get it spot on. And the other night we were wrong again with Mikey Johnson coming in for a start. I think we all actually predicted that Giakoumakis would be the one through the middle with Furuhashi on the wing. That wasn't the case. And we'll do the same again today. We'll write up our predicted lineups and schedule it for the morning. But is there anyone that you predict could be a surprise this time?
Well, given my track record here, I'm probably reluctant to offer my thoughts here because I think I may end up with egg on my face, as has been the case in recent weeks. The only one I would say is that I think Mikey Johnson might have just done enough to stay in. I think he looks a hungry player just now. I think he looks like a guy desperate to make up for lost time and to come in and remind everyone really that he's at the club, he has something to offer. In terms of age, I think he's probably slightly older than Leo Abada, and I think he's maybe just saying, you've got a winger here, and I'm here to just force my way back in. I think recent performances have been decent from him, and I just wonder if he might hang on to that starting jersey for tomorrow's game.
I saw mixed reviews actually after Mikey Johnson's performance against Hearts. He was really good against Hibs. Sorry, he was really good from the bench in the 2 games previously to that. But I saw a few people saying that he was a bit floated in and out of the game against Hibs. Would you say that's harsh then?
I think he's looked good. I have to confess just now, I didn't see the full game. I've only seen highlights of the game. I was down south of the border this week. My son were playing in a tournament down in Liverpool, so I did see highlights. I was watching Preston Liverpool on Wednesday night, so it was just an edited version I've seen. But I think it would be harsh to judge him on one start. I think it's pretty harsh to judge anyone just on one game, considering the amount of time he's been out. I do sometimes think there is a propensity to be harder on homegrown players that are coming through. I think sometimes people can be slightly more critical. I think he's worth giving a bit of time and just letting him making a judgment after he's played a few games and had some game time. I think you're right in terms of tomorrow's game. I think Celtic will control so much of the ball. They will have so much possession. It's about making sure you translate that into a tangible lead, that you're rewarded with goals to reflect the amount of possession that you've got. And in that way, I think both wingers are key to how Celtic play and to getting the ball through the middle and into the feet of a guy who just loves to run onto it and whose movement, I think, must be a gift to play if you're playing on either wing. I think when you look at Furuhashi playing beside you, I think you must know if you can get the ball into good areas, he'll be on the end of it, and he has the foresight to read the pass and the intelligence to move into space and manipulate it. And I think when that clicks, I think Celtic are fairly formidable middle to front.
Frank Brennan, regular contributors in the comments, saying that Celtic will be facing 9 defenders and at worst all 10 completely behind the ball, so patience is needed. How important is that at home games? Because you've seen that Celtic can go through a team at Celtic Park this season, as we've seen St Mirren and Dundee, wasn't it, earlier on in the campaign. But also, patience is needed sometimes for Celtic and Rangers as well when the teams come to Glasgow and they just completely park the bus and do what they feel is necessary to try and get a point out of the game. And if 60 minutes comes by, 70 minutes comes by and there's no goal yet, you can hear the anxiety and the groans from the crowd, and that can transpire onto the park in the way the team plays. But I think that Frank's completely right that patience is probably needed from Celtic fans tomorrow if things don't go so well for the first 45, 60 minutes, just to trust that it'll come at some point.
Yeah, and I think that probably intensifies when you're in a league situation just now where it's so tight now at the top, and you're going to have the opportunity at times, one, to think about getting to the top of the league, and two, of putting pressure on Rangers. So I think that element can intensify because of that. However, there are certain games when you do have to be patient just because of the way some teams might come and line up. But I think what this team have just now is the pace to open teams up, and they have the width when they use it to get in behind teams, even when it's fairly congested. I also think there's some intelligence in the team too. I think you look at Callum McGregor, Kyogo. I think they're clever footballers. I think, and part of it is having the tactical game to work out how best to find a way through that. You're right. I think it can be frustrating to watch at times, probably frustrating to play in at times. But I think overall Celtic do have the quality.
Oh, sorry, Alison, we lost you just at the end there with the Wi-Fi playing up. I know that it's not your best friend, is it? Well, that'll do us for this morning. Just a wee 10-minute podcast. So thanks very much for joining us, everyone. Remember, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube and you'll get a notification every time we go live with one of these videos or with one of the Tactical Insight videos, etc. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again on Monday after Celtic's game this weekend.